It was a wild ride under lights in Sydney for round one of the TFH Hire TA2 Muscle Car Series, framed by Hi-Tech Steel Framing.
Oh! Hey, what did he got him? No, no, no! This is heartbreaking.
Taking the very meaning of door-to-door muscle car racing to the next level.
Having a look at Steve!
Oh, what's he doing?
He's gone! How do you like your T-bone? Medium rare?
Josh Haynes evaded the carnage to take out top honours in round one.
2 wins so far out of 3. And the Haynes family very, very happy.
The teams have now travelled north to Morgan Park Raceway in Queensland, and there is no doubt round 2 will provide one hell of a show. Joining the fray is a stacked lineup including Legend Cars Australia, Formula RX8 and a whole lot more. Time to buckle up as we hit the loud pedal for round 2 of the Hi-Tech Super Series. Welcome back here to Morgan Park Raceway. Yes, it's day 2 of competition for round 2 of the Hi-Tech Oils Super Series, and the sun has broken through the clouds and we've got a nice dry racetrack today. And plenty more action coming your way this afternoon. Have a look at it out there. The track's looking absolutely fantastic here at Morgan Park Raceway for this 2024 season of the Hi-Tech Oils Super Series. The mountains in the background. We're just a couple of hours west of Brisbane. Have a look at some of the Hi-Tech Oils highlights from this wet race yesterday to kick off the weekend. It was a single file start, wasn't it, because of the amount of rain. And look at the spray came off the cars. Now, Brad Gardner was your #1 qualifier there in our Super 6 shootout. Josh Haynes, well, he had to try everything. Didn't want to let him get away at the start of this race, did he? And they were sliding the cars everywhere.
Well, they were smart, right? Because you've got to build up some heat in an environment where it's really hard to do that. So we're on our Who's Your Wet tyres here as we watch Brad Gardner and Josh Haynes through the sweeper. This was the place where if you're going to have an off, it's going to be a big one through that high-speed sweeper just there. You can understeer, you can oversteer, or you can just find the marbles and fire off the road. Now, that was the first one for Josh Haynes. There's his family there. You can always tell what's going on with Josh on the track by the look on his mum's face. And there was some great racing. Here was Graham Cheney and Mark Crutcher with Domain Ramsey really making gains. And then we had side-to-side racing, which is what we want in TA2. It was Josh Haynes.
Yeah, he was there with Hayden Jackson, wasn't he? And
yeah,
that was after he went off the track, ended up behind him, managed to get back in front with Brad Gardner, boarded home there. Tim Brooks, his crew chief in the background there, making sure that he just kept composed, I think, in that situation. I'm sure the moment Josh Haynes went off in the background, probably the heart rate dropped a bit. Some race number 2 earlier today. Brad Gardner got away with a nice start of pole position. Josh Haynes had to tuck him behind him. Now, Hayden Jackson and Graham Cheney, they thought they'd have a little bit of an exchange here for the 3rd position. Luckily, they didn't make any contact. Great racing from Mark Crutcher in the background there was to try and take some advantage. Then later on, he had a huge moment coming out of turn number 9 where he went out in the mud. A lot of that in the front of the car as well, but he managed to hold his composure and get that car. Luckily, he didn't rejoin in front of race traffic. There were some big moments here as well. Josh Haynes, though, he waited for his moment, and then the big dive down under brakes to get Brad Gardner to take the lead of this race in the Herzog Steel entry. And Gardner, well, he just waited for his moment, let the tyres cool down, and then he took them on. And Josh Haynes had to watch him go by as they went through a fast turn number 8 and into turn number 9. And Gardner had the lead, and all of a sudden Josh Haynes backed off, and then we saw rubber flying out from the right-hand side of the car and just managed to make it into pit lane. Blew a tyre in the Herzog Steel entry. Well, he managed to get that tyre change to get back on track, but I'm not sure with the way he entered whether there's going to be some ramifications from that one. We'll wait and find out. Brad Gardner in the Hi-Tech Oils 22. Well, he's been our #1 qualifier in the rain. He took home race #1 yesterday and another win today. The team who had a very challenging first round now have had some real good highlights here at Morgan Park Raceway. And look, they're just having a fantastic race meet. Can he do it again in race 3? We'll have to wait and find out. There's plenty more people through the field, though. Let's catch up with Graham Cheney and Paul Hadley, who have been some stout competitors throughout the series.
25 years ago now, this raced Formula Extreme, which is a super bike from its day. And after a few years, I had a few hits and a few screws and decided to give that away.
So my specialty was like super motard. Did a bit of racing, did a season in America, did a world round, rode for KTM, Husqvarna. Bikes is a bit more of an adrenaline rush just for the fact that if you come off, it's going to hurt. Where a car, it still gives you a buzz for sure.
I got into TA2 initially. I started looking for a TCM car, and I rang up about an old ad. Yeah, Pete Robinson explained everything how it was, and I thought, oh, it sounds all right. So something a bit different, you know, something there that was kicking off. And I liked the style of the cars, and halfway through 19, bought a TA2 car, and here we are.
First got started with car racing just with Paul Hadley. He started doing TA2. He said, oh, you just got to come and do this. It's an awesome category. I said, oh, I've never done car racing, so give it a go, and yeah, loving it.
When I first started off, and when Graham came to one of the meetings and he's looking, and I know the type of racing that he is and what he's been, so I said, oh, another car, and here we are.
I wouldn't be doing it without Paul Hadley. It's the only team to do. Got the young bloke in 86s. He's doing XLs here this weekend.
And we've got young Tyler coming through too, and next year or so as well. So the 3-car team.
Awesome team to be with.
Thought it better with the cars. I'm understanding it better myself. We're always improving in every meeting. Only slight changes, but they all start adding up.
We've all learnt a lot about these cars now. We've been doing it for a fair few years now. There is a lot of little things to learn about it just to get that little bit out of it.
To do a good lap time around here, you can't sort of have an easy couple of corners because it's going to cost you going over the line.
I was a bit nervous to start with. Everyone says it's a bit tight, but I think it's an awesome track. Love it.
Not the much thing of a Camaro, and I thought, look at the Camaros. Yeah, I've been a Ford man before and probably more of a shed man, so hence why we went to Camaros.
They're pretty awesome, like they're loud. Everyone in Australia loves a V8.
They're a car you've got to drive. They're a physical car.
They move around, they're fast. We're doing very quick times. I love the sound of them and they look awesome.
As I'm learning to drive cars better, I'm sort of driving it a bit easier as well.
We're both racers, so Paul's pretty good. He wants me to do just as well as he is, so yeah, we're always egging each other on and pushing each other, so it's good.
Welcome back to the Hi-Tech Oil Super Series. We're at Morgan Park Raceway for round number 2 of the 2024 season. We are getting set for race number 3 here for the TFH Hire TA2 muscle cars framed by Hi-Tech. Still framing, the grid is set. They are down there and getting ready to race. Let's head down now to Jamie McCarthy.
Thanks, Matt. The calm before the storm. We've got pole sitter Brad Gartner down here in the car, ready and waiting. Good weekend so far, mate. What are the plans going into the start of this race?
Oh, yeah, it's an awesome weekend. I'm extremely grateful for the car being given by some of the best guys here. So the plan for this race is just look forward. The mirrors are nothing at the moment and just try and keep on keeping on because at the moment we've got a round to win and a lot of points to make up in the championship.
So your first pole here this weekend, have you had a round win?
No, I haven't. No, it's like first pole, a lot of firsts this weekend. So we just head down, and you know anything can happen. We see what can happen to tyres around this track last year and this year. So we just got to keep our head down. And just quickly, I just like to give a shout out to my mum and dad, Nanny and Pa back home. My whole family's working for me to sit in this position right now. It's pretty cool. And Tim, Benny, everyone's away from their families this weekend to make it happen for me. So shout out to Beck and Soph at home. Thanks for letting me have Tim for the weekend, and I'll see if I can get it done.
Well spoken, mate. Starting off the pole for this third race of the weekend, Graham Cheney. What a result in that last one. Obviously, a couple of little changes happening, but Graham on the outside of the front row with this one. You made an outside run down to turn 2 last time. How's this one going to go?
Mate, same deal. Just I don't have Josh in the way, so just straight around the outside. Here we go.
Good weekend so far, and now it's all about these points.
Yeah, mate, we're just here for the championship. I know these Brad and Josh are pretty quick, but you've got to finish every race. So, yeah, we're just chipping away and keep doing what we're doing.
Go well, mate.
Now, starting grid for the TFH Hire TA2 Muscle Car Series, framed by Hi-Tech Framing. Brad Gartner will start from pole. Graham Cheney, our championship leader in P2. Connor Roberts, the rookie, he'll be in P3. Starting out of P4 is the dirt track cowboy, Danny Reedy. Mark Crutcher out of 5th, Paul Hadley in 6th. Jermaine Ramsey, good yesterday, not great today. Hopefully we'll get better this afternoon out of 7th. Jet Johnson, watch for him to come through the field in 8th. Steve Wilson in 9th, putting a good first weekend together in his brand new Camaro. Hayden Jackson out of 10th, and as I said, Josh Haynes in the Herzog Steel Mustang. He'll be starting out of 11th.
All right, we're starting to grid them up, and the safety car has left our leaders. That means rolling start time. Let's get race number 3 underway here for the TFA Tyre. TA2 muscle cars framed by Hi-Tech Steel Framing, and a lot of our race tech seats rookie class. Well, there's a few of them in here. We'll wait and see what happens. Can Dan Reedy come through? Because he's got Robbie Farr here this weekend in his ear, and he's quick on the dirt. Maybe you can give him some advice here. They're all quick on the dirt, these Speedway boys. All right, the rumble's about to happen. The race gets underway. Can Graham Cheney go around the outside? We'll have to wait and find out. The moment has come to kick this race off. Brad Gardner, can he go 3 from 3? And here we go. Graham Cheney gets a nice run on the outside. How much would I said? Look at Connor Roberts on the inside, though, in the Dodge Crutcher. What a move in the number 4, right into 3. Reedy slots into 4 by the looks of it. They're too wide through turn 1 and 2, and this is on already.
Absolutely. Crutcher had the start of everybody there, and Danny Reedy, who's going to take out our Bowden's own Best Presented Car Award too. But Gardner's got the lead from Cheney and Crutcher. Danny Reedy in 4th. Connor Roberts has dropped a position back to 5th there. Look at Jet Johnson trying to get round the outside of, who is that? I can't see it on the screen.
That's Hayden Jackson. Josh Haynes is on the outside of him.
There we go.
They're side by side already.
There we go. So Josh Haynes now putting pressure onto Hayden Jackson. He's got Jet Johnson just underneath him there into the left-hander. This gets busy. Josh Haynes makes contact with Hayden Jackson, but they get themselves sorted out. That's going to give Jet Johnson a run down through the sweeper now.
Well, they'll reignite that 2022 season, won't they? Where Jet Johnson ended up getting the title there, but Josh Haynes was right in the fight till the end. So this could be exciting. A bit further down the pack, Hayden Jackson, he's not going to make it easy for him one bit. He is going to make that Dodge Challenger wider than it already looks. And in front of them, Domain Rams, we saw how good defensive he was in his driving in the last race.
And when you start a race like this, the first lap is both this compromise of I need to try and get position, but I've also got to settle it down just a little bit. So a lot of action on that first lap as Hayden Jackson starting to look willing against Domain Ramsey coming up the hill. This is where Domain got tipped into a spin by Jet Johnson. He's slow again. He's been turned again through the sweeper underneath the bridge. Does everyone avoid him? Josh Haynes is avoiding. Jet Johnson's avoiding. That was a carbon copy as Connor now flies under the inside of Danny Reedy as well.
I'll have a look at
Action
down
on
there.
lap
Josh
2.
Haynes' father and mum down there. And again, you see the heart-stopping moment. They managed to get around, though, and how bad was the contact there? And there's going to be a review on that one.
Well, absolutely. Our driver standards officer, Russell Ryder, former series champion, will be having a word there as we watch the Hi-Tech Oil Super Series replay. And you can just see that Hayden Jackson just into the back. How lucky is Josh Haynes and Jet Johnson arriving on the scene at 150k an hour? Boy, oh boy, Paul Hadley also just snuck around there. That is one of the worst places you can have a spin here at Morgan Park Raceway.
Oh, Jet Johnson, he's not going to wait, though. He is going to make a big move here. I know it doesn't really matter for Hayden Jackson, but he thought he might try and hold on and get that done. But Jet Johnson, he's a young gun too. He'd be looking at Haynes in front, not wanting him to go anywhere. A little puff of smoke there. Maybe just lock up a wheel for a second for Jet Johnson. And look at him, they're already catching the back of Connor Roberts.
They are, and you know who's catching him the quickest? Josh Haynes putting 3 purple sectors together. He is on fire of trying to get through the field. He, of course, started last, up to 5th at the moment, so he's going to be in contention for our Hypercoils Hard Charger Award for the most amount of passes in one race at this stage. Purple sectors for Josh Haynes as he chases down Connor Roberts and Mark Crutcher in P3. There's Connor in the red car. Crutcher's in the yellow, and in the blue car is Josh Haynes. So the Herzog Steel number 37 Mustang. And look at Connor Roberts. He's just going to make it a little bit easier. Gee, that's smart from the young fella. He knows. Don't get in the way.
I wanted to see him in the fight because he, coming into this race, he's already moved up to 3rd in the championship. He's just been accumulating points.
But that's how he's done it, right? By making moves like that and not getting in the way of someone like Josh Haynes, who he knows is much faster. He now, rather than getting involved in a tangle or some sort of accident, he'll now tuck in, hopefully behind Josh, and learn some more. Finish the race, gather points, and get better in his position within the championship. What I want to see is Josh Haynes and Mark Crutcher. That'll be funny. If these two can get together, there is no way that the number 4 Crutcher Developments Mustang is going to make it easy for Josh Haynes. So he's clearly got a good tyre on that right rear because he had to put a green tyre on after that last tyre failure.
And how's this for a lap time of 1:16.72?
Wow.
Last time around, he's just done a 1:16.99. So he is definitely on qualifying times. I mean, Brad Gartner's just eased off a little bit back to a 1:18, and I'm sure Timmy Brooks is going, hey, don't hurt the tyres, we've got one more race to go. It's shifted, hasn't it? Gartner's looking for a round win now, not just race wins.
Yeah, absolutely. And look at the aggression from Jet Johnson now, also trying to hunt down Connor Roberts. As I say, he'll be learning this early. I know he's from out of Hyundai's, but I've got to tell you, a TA2 car closes up onto the back of you pretty quickly. So I'm very proud of the way he is playing the game here as Jet Johnson just shows the nose down at Siberia corner. Hopefully he'll just stay in line here, Connor. Don't let Jet through too easily. But you can see the difference in the aggression in the brakes there. Jet's just all over him. That's going to give him potentially a run down through here. Here he goes into the sweeper. So Connor just moves to the right-hand side. Jet Johnson is now up into 5th place, chasing down now Josh Haynes. And here is the scrap at the moment. It's Mark Crutcher from Josh Haynes. Josh Haynes all over the back of him, just starting to show the nose. Crutcher, don't open the door. He's let him come through. And that is a mistake, unfortunately, from Mark Crutcher that's let Josh Haynes through the door up into P3. So from last to 3rd from Josh Haynes. Now he's got Graham Cheney just ahead of him. He's lapping some 2 seconds faster at the moment than Graham Cheney, so he may actually get up to the back of him. Brad Gardner, I reckon, Matty, if it was looking like there was any chance that Josh was going to be able to get to Brad will just put the hammer down and drive away.
I think he's saving some there, Gardner. He doesn't need to worry about Cheney. He's 3 seconds behind. Brad Gardner did the work in the first few laps. Now, remember, we're not even halfway through this. We're just under halfway, so how much is he going to hurt those tyres making this happen, though, for Josh Haynes? So it might be an early charge, but you might find the last few laps, if Gardner and Cheney look after their tyres, they might be able to take it to him as well. So we're in for an exciting final few laps.
Yeah, absolutely. Brad Gardner's playing the long game. He's playing a sensational game. He's running in the 17s at the moment. But Tim Brook will be just saying, mate, it's okay. I'm watching the guys behind you. If they look like they're starting to close in on you too close, I'll just get you to go a little bit faster. But right now, he's looking after the Hi-Tech Oils Camaro. He's not torching those tyres. He's driving. Look, you can see even just here, the way, see, he didn't even go over the triple strip there. So super, super smooth from the number 22. As you rightly said, Matty, he's looking for a champion. He's looking for a round win. That'll be his first Ben lead. Tim Brooks on screen just there. You can see Tim holding the phone, monitoring the times live, and he's just coaching his driver through now. What we really want to keep an eye on is Josh Haynes and Graham Cheney, because Josh is closing in as we ride on board. You can even see by the input into the steering wheel, he's doing this pretty easy. Look back in the camera shot though, you can still see Graham Cheney there. So, and Josh Haynes was closing up to the back of him as well. The Who's Your Tyres protesting in the background. But Brad Gardner, he has got this race by the throat. The 22 Hi-Tech Oils Camaro. What a comeback from SMP, where they've practically had to rebuild the majority of that car. But look at the background here. This is Josh Haynes starting to close down on Graham Cheney. Now, Graham is our championship leader at the moment. Josh needs to make as many positions as he can to try and nullify the damage from the DNF in race 2 this morning. So big pace difference, somewhere around that 1.5 seconds. Josh still in the 16s and Graham Cheney in the 18s. So I would expect in the next lap or two, he's definitely going to try and make the pass. But look at the distance. The gap there has closed significantly just across this lap. Graham just getting a little wide on the exit of turn 12 there. Josh was really smooth. So this will close the gap even further. Shows the nose. He's not going to make it too hard, but he's not going to make it easy for him. Little lock up from the Herzog Steel driver as they go under the bridge. Got to be very careful here, but you can get a run through here and then hopefully, look at the difference in the exit lines there. He might even throw it down the inside here. Let's see what Cheney does. They're side by side. That's good heads up driving, but now can Josh get round the outside? No. Cheney closes the door. Where is he going to pass him? Is he going to try and throw one down the inside here? Yes, he does. Cheney leaves the door open. That enables Josh Haynes to get through and now set sail after Brad Gardner.
Well, it's going to be interesting here. Josh Haynes, what a drive from rear of the field. Remembering he did get to put one new tyre on that he cut in race number 2, and it exploded out there on track. So he's got a little bit better rubber on the back of it. He's used up a whole heap, though, trying to do this drive. The car is sliding around. Very different attitude in the car from what we see from Brad Gardner, where it's very smooth, controlled, flowing through there. And this might set him up for race number 4 as well, because Brad's not consuming tyres at the moment. He is just going through the motions. Tim Brooks will be watching the times. He would have backwards calculated this, going, mate, if he's catching you by half a second a lap, you've this many laps in front. As though Domain Ramsey's had a spin there in the CNH haulage, a trucking entry, unfortunately, and he really started the weekend off strong. Let's have a look at Jet Johnson, though, on the back of Mark Crutcher. Now, Mark Crutcher didn't put up too much of a fight for Josh Haynes, just went a little bit too deep into 11 and opened the door. Will he do the same for Jet Johnson, who's going to get an opportunity coming down into 4 at the moment? He might not be quite close enough, because Jet's another one who's been pushing the tyres hard, remembering that he doesn't have a new tyre on the back.
No, he doesn't have a new tyre on the back, but he also doesn't necessarily have a dog in the fight of this championship as well. Of course, he's been brought into Super Sub for Michael Coulter, who's away on family business this weekend. I know he'll be watching down in Sydney, and we send all our best to you, my friend. But this is where it gets a little bit wheeling up through the left-hander, or what we call T-junction. Imperative to get a really strong run through here as we go back to the Hi-Tech Oil Super Series replay. Domain Ramsey, that was weird. A big lock-up. Steve Wilson almost gets one through the door, as did Hayden Jackson. That was weird just to see that front right locking up. He's starting to make some changes to the car, he told me during the break there, because he hasn't done that since the car was brand new. But as he's getting more confident, he's starting to make changes. But that was a weird one.
But this is where it's all happening. Jet Johnson of the Terps Tippers, number 11, subbing in for Michael Coulter this weekend, and he's right on the back of Crutcher, who's come back from an incident at Sydney Motorsport Park as well. So he's having a great weekend and back confident in the car after the front end rebuild. Slide.
That would have put Michael falling off the couch, let me tell you. Because every time you go off there, it can be a pretty big accident. The funny thing with Mark Crutcher, and this is what I love about him, he's either having laps like this at the moment where he's got one of Australia's bright stars in motorsport chasing him and he's driving brilliantly, or he throws himself off the road. He's kind of one or the other, but that was an outstanding slide from Jet Johnson through turn 11 and 12. He's all over him, but it doesn't matter how fast you are, you've got to get the job done. But Mark's not driving defensively, not in any way, shape or form. Now let's just watch the car, the purple car here, the Terps Tipper. Let's see how stable it is under the brakes as he goes to the outside. That's a kind of a low percentage opportunity. Very rare that you're going to be able to get that done. And also hard to pass here up into turn 7, the left-hander we call T-junction. Mark just ran a little bit wide there. Will this give Jet Johnson the opportunity as we watch Jet here? Look at this, bang, he back that thing in all the way through turn 12. Looks spectacular, but unfortunately, Matty, it's not fast.
No, sliding the car into there, back up to that similar section too as they come around 10 now. They'll set themselves up. See if he does it once again for Jet Johnson. Like you say, he's not in a championship fight, so there's no point, you know, risking damage to the car. You just need to get it through. He's already had clutch issues this weekend. They put a brand new clutch in that car. He's had to fight his way back through, a little bit of contact. Man, he lost a couple of positions as well in this race before starting really on the grid. Oh no, Hayden Jackson, the number 81, is now out on the side, and that is unfortunate for him too. The Maitland Glass and windscreens entry.
Yeah, but I hope he hasn't had a spin there or anything. It doesn't look like there's any body damage there, because that's not the place we want to see an accident. We saw Tim Tritton go in there a couple of years ago and absolutely destroyed his car, so we never want to see that. How good is Mark Crutcher going, defending from one of, I said, the brightest talents in motorsport right now in Jet Johnson? Big slide from Johnson. He just can't seem to be able to find the way through Mark Crutcher. And as I said, Mark's not driving defensively, Matty. Mark's driving online. He is driving fast. He's driving really, really well. So eyes forward to Mark. Hopefully he can get this as the laps tip down. A gap from Gardner to Haynes of 3.2 seconds. So not sure he's going to get that done, but we'll go down to the pits. What do you got for us, Jamie?
Yeah, guys, with Hayden Jackson, I believe it may be a broken or a damaged right front steering arm. Talking to the crew guys, Hayden was on the radio, so probably a legacy of that opening sort of stint of the race damage and the contact with Ramsey.
Good pickup, mate. Yeah, and that's likely to happen too when you make contact at that size. We start our final lap in race 3 of the TFH TA2 Muscle Car Series, framed by Hi-Tech. Mark Crutcher, he's done an outstanding job. It's getting close as we go up under the bridge here. Can Mark Crutcher in the number 4 Crutcher Developments Mustang hold off Jet Johnson in the Terps Tippers? Look at that, he goes defensive. That's good driving. He can do that, Matty, on this last lap. You do that on lap 5, you get in trouble, but you can do it on the last lap. He's got the gap. Jet does not have the opportunity to get through unless Mark makes a mistake. You're not going to get up through turn 2 here as well as our leader that, hey, Gardner to Haynes just came down another second, so they might just run out of laps there, but Mark Crutcher still holding strong. Jet Johnson much closer this time, down through the sweeper, pulls 4th gear. 175, 180 k's an hour. Mark's got to stay to the right here. Stay defensive, Mark, or you'll let Jet around and it'll be a braking duel down into 12. But Brad Gardner is going to take the flag. It is a lights to flag victory with Josh Haynes just a couple of seconds behind in second. But Crutcher's held him out as we go to the line. Their closest, but this is the closest they've been for a couple of laps, but Crutcher is going to hold out Jet Johnson for 4th position. Great driving, Mark Crutcher, and great driving from Jet Johnson. Connor Roberts looking like he's going to take out 6th position. Danny Reedy, unfortunately, dropping from 4th position back down to 7th, but he's going to finish. Paul Hadley as well, as we see the flag greeting the field. So, you know what? That was pretty good.
That was an intense race to watch, really. Brad Gardner had everything to lose at the front, but he managed to control himself, got a good start. Graham Cheney, unfortunately, didn't hold on to second, but, mate, we talk about the Hypercoils Hard Charger Award. Josh Haynes will have to be in contention for that, won't he? Let's have a look at how the TFA Tyre TA2 Muscle Car Series framed by Hi-Tech results are for race 3. It's Brad Gardner. 3 wins from 3 races now. Here's the talking point, and can this be his first round win? Josh Haynes, the man of steel, fighting his way back after that tyre issue in the last race from back of the field. And it's Graham Cheney holding on for 3rd. Mark Crutcher, incredible drive to stay in front of Jet Johnson in 5th. Then it's Connor Roberts, Danny Reedy, Paul Hadley, Domain Ramsey, some unfortunate moments in contact there with Hayden Jackson. Spun him, then he spun himself around with that brake lock-up going onto the dirt. Steve Wilson in 10th, and Hayden Jackson, well, some steering arm issues on the front of that car, and the 81 was on the inside. It's going to have to be recovered.
As we head down to Jamie in the lane.
Graham Cheney, I'm getting sort of used to talking you through this. Another solid race, more points, obviously. How did that sort of pan out for you? Because I think with Josh coming through, you were aware of that. You were mindful of that.
Yeah, no, for sure. I knew he was going to come, hoping teammate Crutcher was going to slow him up as much as he could. But yeah, we pushed pretty hard to start with, and then when he got near us, I thought, oh well, he's going to go because he's got the pace. So we just wanted the points.
How was the start off the front row?
Yeah, no, it was good. I was hoping for a bit more of a jump, but yeah, Brad did an awesome start too. So we didn't quite have enough to sort of close him down. But yeah, it was definitely a good.
Well done, mate. Good points going into the final race of the weekend. We'll grab Josh Haynes, who stormed through this field. And Josh, I've got to say, mate, that was the biggest avoidance. You and Jet avoiding Ramsey coming up over 3 under the bridge. Yeah, what was going through the mind for not a big amount of time?
Yeah, it was nearly over before it even started. So that was very, very close. I don't even know how it all happened or how he got turned, but hope he's all right. But we were very close. So yeah, such a good race. Congrats to Brad again. We got to charge through the field. It was a couple tough moves. Obviously, it's a tight track and you can't see. So got through, came home in second. The car was really quick then, so the last one's going to be good.
It's been an up and down weekend. We won't talk about the last race with the tyre issue, but as I said before the start of this race, points, chin up, keep going ahead.
Yeah, that's right. And that race I was obviously pushing as hard as I could, but actually keeping it off all the curbs. So I did a good job of that and still found some pace out of it, which was good. And then, yeah, obviously the last one's going to be on. So thanks to Robert Herzog and the whole team at Waltech, Mum and Dad, for all their help. I'm looking forward to the last one. Bring it on.
Storming drive, mate. Storming drive. Brad Gardner. Well, what else can we say about Brad Gardner? 3 for 3. Now, Brad, before the start of this race, I think you thanked everybody just about on the planet. Have you got anyone left?
Yeah, once again, just George. I wouldn't be here without George. But my family, they're back home working. Dad's probably crutching sheep today, and I'm sitting in a pretty grateful spot at the moment to even get on a plane and leave home. It's pretty cool, and to get to jump in one of these things and go win races while my family's back home, it's pretty cool. So massive thanks to all of them, and extremely grateful.
I know Brooksy would have been on the radio gauging where Josh was coming, and he was coming fast, but you're pretty comfortable out in front, and you could sort of pretty much do what you wanted to do with more pace and left in reserve?
Yeah, I think we'd rather just drive to a number throughout the race and then be ready if he was to get to us. There's no use burning us up in the first 5, and you could something happened throughout the race, and then you got nothing left. So we're in a good spot. I think we're in a good spot for the last race as well. So we just got to be clean now. Hopefully, grab the round win.
Congratulations, Brad. Back to you, boys.
Well, what an incredible race number 3 for the TA2 muscle cars. And there's still one to go this weekend. After the break, the muscle's back. And they are out for their final race of the weekend. Can Brad Gardner do it? Can he take a clean sweep? Don't go anywhere. Well, we can hear the rumble getting ready to get set here at Morgan Park Raceway. Yes, the TFH Hire TA2 muscle cars, framed by Hi-Tech Steel Framing, are not too far away as we fire them up and get them ready.
And I've just had a text message from the great man, Steve Johnson. Just watch for Jet Johnson at his worst tyres on in race 3. He's got good tyres for race 4. As we look at your starting grid for the TFH Hire TA2 Muscle Car Series, Brad Gardner off pole from Josh Haynes in P2. Graham Cheney will start from 3rd and Mark Crutcher from 4th. Jet Johnson, he's got good tyres. We've heard from the great man. Watch him from 5th. Out of 6th will be Connor Roberts, the rookie. 7th will be Danny Reedy. 8th, Paul Hadley. Domain Ramsey, hopefully trying to just get ahead of this car a little bit because he's struggling a little this weekend in 9th. Steve Wilson in 10th position, and Hayden Jackson, after that broken lower steering arm, he'll start out of 11th.
So let's have a look. They come around the Man of Steel on the inside in the Herzog entry, but it is the man who's been clean sweeping so far, the Hi-Tech Oils entry of Brad Gardner. And we are about to hit the loud pedal and head down to turn number 1, waiting for the lights to go out here as they just roll on at this very sedate pace. And the noise is on. Here we go. Turn number 1. Who's going to be leading as we go to the right-hander, and Haynes around the outside. Oh, Gardner gets a little bit of curb, and it looks like he might just be in front. And Jet Johnson, we ride on board. He's got the view here. He's in 5th position. Crutcher might have just had to give that up to Cheney. And Johnson, will he have the dive down into 4? Let's wait and find out. They're everywhere.
Look at Haynes getting Gardner getting defensive as Haynes is under the attack, and Jet Johnson at the outside of Mark Crutcher as well. Can he hold the line? No. Does he go to the right now and try and throw one down the inside as we come down to Siberia Corner? Goes the outside. Oh, had a bit of a lock there. So Jet Johnson on the attack, but it's Brad Gardner from Haynes, Cheney and Crutcher. Johnson in 5th with Danny Reedy in 6th. That's a good start from Reedy. Roberts is in 7th. Connor just dropping back a couple there, but he knows he's in a good position within the championship. Jet Johnson was just grabbing for something on the dashboard there, so we'll have to wait and see. It might have been the engine fan to turn that off as we come through the sweeper. Steve Wilson in the background there, but still hasn't been able to get past Mark Crutcher, has Jet Johnson. And I've got to say, in that last race, I don't think I have ever seen Mark Crutcher race better than that. On board with Hayden Jackson through the S's, climbing his way up now. He's already made 4 positions in the first lap.
We spoke about tyres, didn't we, coming into this race, and look at that. Brad Gardner's already saved a few. Jet Johnson, well, are the tyres going to be enough? Because Crutcher's got a coal heap of talent inside of him, doesn't he? When he wants to just expel it, he does. And look at him still holding out Jet Johnson, making it very hard for him to overtake it. That's a big statement from Mark Crutcher as he goes a little bit wide that time, but Jet's not going to be able to take full advantage. Look at Hayden Jackson. That's a massive move, already up into 7th position from back of the field. So he's managed to get through 4 cars as well, and if he's not too careful, Jet, he's going to have Hayden Jackson all over the back of him, and that's a big Dodge Challenger.
And you do have to be careful in these early stages because these Hoosier tyres take just a lap or 2 to warm up and to get into the operating temperature that you want them to be. So whilst Jet's being aggressive perhaps with Mark Crutcher, until these things settle down and get the heat, you won't be able to get up to the speed. But it's Hayden Jackson, the big mover right now. We ride on board with him. But this is the battle between Gardner and Haynes. I know that Haynes in the Herzog Steel Mustang, he wants this. He is so annoyed at himself for running off yesterday and then also having the cut tyre. Look at the gap between the two. Gardner, he says to me that he's got good tyre life left. He rolled it pretty easy in that last race, Matt. Oh, big sweep to the outside, just showing the nose, letting Brad know that Josh is letting Brad know that if he's going to open the door just that little bit. I'm going to slide straight through. A lot of debris on the edge of the circuit there. So we might have had a bit of an off there a little bit earlier.
Well, Brett Gardner, he's got to watch his side mirrors, because I'll tell you what, Josh Haynes is using that daylight off that reflective sticker of the 37. Jet Johnson tries to set himself up for a nice exit here. Can he get it coming out of 4? Crutcher's he's doing such an impressive job, Mark Crutcher, really.
He really is. And interestingly here, what you've got to watch in the background is while these two battle on, is that while Gardner and Haynes are chasing each other, that's allowing Graham Cheney to get back in the battle as well. Now, if Crutcher and Jet can just settle down into this, they're every chance to get up to Graham and maybe put themselves on the podium.
Wouldn't that be an incredible finish? We've got 16 laps to get through in this race, and that's quite a long time, because the tyres will go away at the end, and we will see these cars slide around even more. As I see some tyres, mate, was that a lock-up from Cheney?
I'd say that was a lock-up from Graham Cheney. Really easy to do there, because that's one of the higher speed areas that you go into the brake marker, so you've got to get the car settled down. Has Jet Johnson got a run on Mark Crutcher down into turn 1 now? This is the closest he's been for the last couple of laps. He's applying the pressure. It's the blowtorch. You can feel the heat in the commentary box from what Jet Johnson is starting to apply to the number 4 Crutcher Developments Mustang. Crutch is pretty strong up under the bridge there, Matty. Just seems to be able to break the gap there just a little bit to Jet Johnson. And this is the battle for the lead.
Gardner, though, I think he's holding out Josh Haynes. You think Josh Haynes just we're talking a 1/10 of a second difference in that last lap time, but it's not enough to put a fight to Brad Gardner, or is Josh Haynes being smart and waiting for the final 3-4 laps to really apply that pressure? I mean, this is a game now between these two, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's what you've got to do. You either spend your grip early and then spend the rest of the race defending, or you spend the first part of the race being a little bit defensive, and then hopefully you can drive away at the back. But certainly through the sweeper there, Jet Johnson is so much faster down into turn 10 under brakes, and that you've got to get this right. This is critical coming up onto the main straight through 11 and 12. Bounce from one side, bounce to the other, get on the throttle. Oh, and it's a little wide. He almost takes the high-tech sign with him.
That's a fistful of opposite lock there.
So tell me Jet's not trying without telling me Jet's not trying. Right? He is all over the shop and all over the back of Mark Crutcher. But look at the gap management from Gardner here. He knows that Haynes is in the lead of the championship, but Gardner's in the chance with a win for the round. So he's just managing that gap. This is definitely the best scrap of interest. I am so impressed with Mark Crutcher here, and I'm impressed with Jet. Jet's throwing everything but the kitchen sink at Mark, and Mark is not relenting in any way, shape or form. This is where, up through this section here, through 6, 7, 8, 9, this is where Jet has a superior car to Mark Crutcher. There's no doubt about it. Through the left-hander, just runs straight over the ripple strip there, but it's just there actually that Mark starts to just build that little bit of a gap. Into 4th gear, flat through here, about 175k plus an hour through the right-hand sweeper at 9, down into 10. Hard onto the brakes. The car's starting to get a little squirrely. A little bit of a lock up there in the rear from Jet Johnson. Up now through the 10, 11 and 12 complex, up onto the main straight. Graham Cheney, well, he's having a boring race. He's in third while Gardner and Haynes are battling, and Crutcher and Jet Johnson are battling. He's just sitting there happily in third position currently, leading the championship. But after that mistake coming up onto the straight through turn 12, Jet's just had to settle down here and see if he can reapply that pressure to Mark Crutcher.
Crutcher doesn't look like he's having to wrestle the car as much. It is looking much more settled on the racetrack.
Absolutely.
And I think that's probably where it's a little bit easier for Crutcher to drive this car, whereas Jet's really manhandling it.
But you've also got to remember from Jet Johnson, this was a late call-up from him, and he's been used to the last couple of years driving a supercar. Mark Crutcher, what's he done? Has he missed a gear? Because Jet Johnson has just breezed past him in turn 5 down into turn 6. So did the mistake come from inside the car rather than the car sliding off a corner and Jet getting the pass? Now, what does Jet do now? Eyes down. He's got to get his eyes forward, heading up to Graham Cheney to see if he can get onto that podium for the Terps Tippers team that have brought him in for the weekend. And we'll go to the Hi-Tech Oils replay. So coming out of Gumtree, Mark Crutcher just seems to have some kind of, I bet you that's a gear shift.
It looks like it, doesn't it?
Shift. It wouldn't be a gearbox because he's still pressing on, but I bet you he just didn't have a very clean shift there.
like the patience of Jet Johnson at the moment. Like, he could have really been a little bit more aggressive toward Mark Crutcher, but what is the point? He's not in a championship fight here. Just bide your patience, keep the pressure on, keep that blowtorch going, and wait for a moment. As what we saw now, a little bit of tyre smoke there, looks like a brake lock. I mean, Cheney's got a fistful of opposite lock this time now as he slides the IS Camaro out. This time, can he get through 12 clean? He does with Jet. Well, he's taking a whole heap of curb, and he is trying to cut those corners down and go the short route. Here we go. The fight down the main straight. How much can he close up as he gets that gap down? I'm just having a look there. It's down to 0.4 of a second.
And he's lapping about 0.4 of a second faster at the moment than Graham Cheney. He's just got to do it cleanly, of course. This car normally in the hands of Michael Coulter. He's in Sydney this weekend on family business. So Jet doesn't want to hurt the car as Connor Roberts, third in the championship and was a potential podium getter for this weekend, pulls off to the side of the circuit as we focus back to Jet Johnson and Graham Cheney. He's got to make it clean. You do not want to hand a car back that you've been gifted for the weekend in pieces. You want to just give it back the way it rolled off the trailer. And I can tell you, Michael Coulter, who'll be watching this at home, he'll be back to the second knuckle. He'll be chewing his nails that hard to get through here because this will be a fantastic result for that team. They've got a technical alliance with AIM Motorsport in Super 2, and that seems to be paying dividends within this car. So that's why they've plugged their driver, Jet Johnson, into this car for this weekend. But the laps are running down. He's got 3 left as he makes his way through 11 up to 12. Let's see how smooth he is coming on to the main straight. Not too bad. He's just got to keep applying the blowtorch up to 4th gear. So we're going to ride on board with Jet Johnson for a lap. I can tell you about that right now is that Tyre Life is at a premium. Both of the cars there, Graham Cheney and Jet Johnson, were missing apexes, sliding the car, locking brakes. This is where Jet is very, very strong coming up under the bridge. Can he set him up for a pass down into Gumtree Corner, turn 4? There's Josh Haynes just up ahead. I think he's given up the ghost. He's got a 5-second lead to Gardner, so there's no way.
He knows that he's on some hurt tyres. So he's just got to bring it home. He's got to be in front of Cheney.
This is where Jet's quick. Big lock-up previously in the previous lap here. He's done the over-under. Is there going to be contact between the two? Jet Johnson just has slight contact with Graham Cheney down at Siberia. Cheney's held the inside line. Jet's now going to make sure he gets a strong run. They both run wide off to the right-hand side of T-junction. Now it's a drag race down through the sweeper, up to 4th gear. Who's going to hang it tough? Jet Johnson goes round the outside and gets himself onto the podium. What a drive.
Turf Tippers number 11 now in a podium spot, filling in for Michael Coulter this weekend. Now, Graham Cheney, can he hold on? Because there is nothing left in either of their tyres. They are sliding the car around everywhere. Have a look as he goes through this turn. Well, there's a whole lot of opposite lock once again. Doesn't go out too wide, and we're on the final lap, the final race with the TFH Hire TA2 muscle cars here this weekend. Brad Gardner with a 7-second lead now over Josh Haynes. He has dominated this weekend, and he's only got himself 8 corners left to get around. If we get these 3 in a 1-2-3 position, who is that? Cheney. Those tyres, absolutely no grip, but the front end is gone. Mark Crutcher might grab this. Mark Crutcher in the background. If we get a podium, though, between Gardner, Haynes and Johnson, is this the youngest podium we would have seen?
It would be very close, certainly. I know in 2022 when Josh Haynes Has he got a flat tire? I just saw him. I thought he may have had a front left flat there because that did not look happy going through the right hander there. But it is a young podium. There's absolutely no doubt about that. And that's what we love to see in TA2. I wonder how Crutch is going against Graham Cheney here. He's got half a run on him, but I reckon Graham might have him across down through the sweeper here. But it's Gardner from Haynes and Jet Johnson. That is a young podium. Well, certainly a lot younger than me.
Here we go. And it's 4 from floor, a clean sweep. He's going to get the broom out. What a weekend for Brad Gardner as he fights back in this championship after Sydney Motorsport Park, and he will be super happy about this weekend. What's happening? There we go. Does Jet Johnson get him, mate? No. Oh, it's 12 hundredths of a second over the finish line. He's just missed out on second, and Haynes gets there.
I reckon we did pick it. I reckon Haynes had a tyre deflating there. It just didn't look good through the right-hander, and Jet Johnson almost picking up B2. Graham Cheney in 4th from Mark Crutcher in 5th. Hayden Jackson, a stout result, up into 6th. Good for his championship. Danny Reedy and Domain Ramsey in through 8th. Paul Hadley in 9th coming up through here. This is where they come. These are the Speedway boys. Currently 7th and 8th.
Out. Oh, final corner, putting on a show for everyone.
Don't mind getting it sideways to the dirt skids.
No, they're exciting, these cars, and they are getting their head around them to have the confidence too to stay in that sideways. You know, the main Ramsey finding some setup in that car that he's happy with.
Well, particularly after he got turned around under the bridge twice this weekend. So that's like a confidence zapping type arrangement there, and he's simply been able to stand on the loud pedal and get a seriously good result. But it's Brad Gardner who has clean swept the weekend. He comes home P1 in the second round of the TFH Hire TA2 Muscle Car Series, framed by Hi-Tech Steel Framing. Brad Gardner from Josh Haynes and Jet Johnson. What a drive from Jet Johnson. Graham Cheney in 4th, Mark Crutcher in 5th. Hayden Jackson, a good solid result in 6th. Danny Reedy in 7th. 8th came down Domain Ramsey. Paul Hadley in 9th, and Steve Wilson in 10th position.
Yeah, Connor Roberts, unfortunately, we saw him go off. Looked like a mechanical issue with the car, pulled to the inside. I mean, great news is that's probably going to be easily fixed before next round. But Brad Gardner, imagine what is going through his mind at the moment. He's never had a number 1 qualifier. He hasn't had a round win before. A clean sweep. Timmy Brooks in his corner, and look how happy the team are.
The smile's on, and Ben Leeds has put together an outstanding car. That's been down. Just checking the rear tyre pressures. There's a trophy going home to Penola in South Australia, and it'll be in the hands of Brad Gardner.
Oh, look, Jet Johnson there, he's got a smile on his face. You know, he's had a tough weekend, of course, the clutch going in qualifying as well. They have to replace that, and it's very different from the cars that he has been driving, like you said earlier. So, look, he's had a good weekend of racing here, and great for him to step in for obviously Michael Coulter, who couldn't make it here this weekend with some family commitments. So, great to have the team here at Morgan Park Raceway as part of the Hi-Tech Oils Super Series. The TA2 Muscle Car family are going to line up there, and look at Josh Haynes. Big hug there from Brad Gardner. He would have known the emotions he's going through as well. Josh Haynes not having the weekend he wants, but it's great to bring home that second place and keep those points going. Let's head down to Jamie though, because we got some excited races down there.
Mark Crutcher, what an outstanding result. 3rd overall for the round. How are we able to keep Jet Johnson out of there for so long?
Yeah, look, when you've got a guy like Jet behind you, it makes you concentrate. I actually got caught in second gear around the back for about 200 metres. But once he got past me, you could see he had pace. So good luck to him. Great luck to my to Graham Cheney. I think he was 2nd overall for the weekend, my team member as well. But what a great weekend, and these young kids, they're just exceptional. They're exceptional. I'm just first to the old guys.
There's a trophy for 3rd overall for the round from George Gambino from the Hi-Tech Super Series. Where is Graham Cheney? Graham Cheney, it's like trying to organise cats. Cheney, here, new. Graham, well done, mate. 2nd overall for the round, and look, to be confirmed, but potentially leading this championship after round number 2.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Yeah, it was a tough weekend, but yeah, the last race, Jet, it was a good race with Jet, and yeah, hope it was good to watch.
Definitely good to watch. Definitely good to watch. So, from what I understand, I think you and Haynes actually might be tied on points for the championship.
I wanted that 1 point on him, but anyway, I think I should have it because I'm the older.
Well done, mate. Here's 2nd place trophy for the round from George Gambino from Hi-Tech Oils, and we'll find Brad Gardner. Where's Gardner hiding? He's behind us. Brad Gartner, well done, mate. And as Matty said on the commentary, the clean sweep, get the broom, my friend. Pole, first ever pole, 4 wins from 4 starts. Feelings?
Yeah, dream weekend. Just emotional. Like, yeah, last year and even start of this year and a couple months ago, we probably wouldn't have been here. So massive thanks to Peter Robinson and George Gambino. It's just the two people in my life that produced the goods for me so far, and I hope I'm made them proud by standing up here now.
The irony now is you're about to get first place overall for the round by the boss, George Gambino from High Tech Oils.
Thanks, George. Thank you.
Well done, mate.
Thank you very much. Thanks to everyone back home. Love you all.
Oh, look, he's a very happy Brad Gartner. So let's have a look at how the points stand after round number 2 of the TFHI TO2 Muscle Car Series. Framed by High Tech, still framing Josh Haynes and Graham Cheney now equal 408 points. So that's going to be great going to Queensland Raceway in just a few weeks. Brad Gartner, well, he's catapulted himself all the way into 3rd position. That's phenomenal, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely outstanding when you think he came into this weekend in about 14th or 15th position. So it shows what happens when you actually finish races up into 3rd position. Mark Crutcher still in contention in 4th.
And what a view it is. Let's have a look at where we're going to go next, though. It's only 4 weeks away, Jamie. Round number 3 of the High Tech Super Series, the 28th and to the 30th of June at Queensland Raceway. So we're a little bit closer to the city, just out there in Ipswich.
I'm a lot closer. I'm 12 minutes away.
It's going to be a fantastic round. It always is when we go there. And of course, they've got the Motoring Festival on. The Paperclip, as it's affectionately known. A lot more long straights. And we will see some of those big horsepower cars. But of course, the TFHI TA2 muscle cars will be back in force there, as well as the High Tech Oils drifting series joining us as well. So it's going to be an absolutely massive weekend. We can't wait for you to join us once again in 4 weeks. We thank you for watching this weekend. It's been an absolutely fantastic time here as part of the High Tech Oils Super Series. We'll see you in just 4 weeks' time.